All right, first video for math since coming back from Easter break. I hope you guys had a blessed Easter. I hope everyone in your family is safe and sound, including yourself. Hope you're taking care of yourself, both mentally and physically during this time. Always feel free to reach out if you ever need anything, whatever that could be, outside of, school. If you need someone to chat with, whatever it might be. But just try to keep yourself sane during these times, fellas, okay? All right, so let's get into this, dividing polynomials and function operations. All right, so for number 35, I'm going to do long division. 36, I'll do synthetic division. 37, I'll go back into long division. All right, so let's get this problem set up. Let's get through this quickly, all right, yet efficiently. So 2x minus 3 is going to go on the outside. All right, boom, get my colors right. Here we go. 2x minus 3 going on the outside. And then on the inside, we have 12x squared. Now, if you go back through your notes and look at this, right, you'll notice that we have division of monomials, right? We did that with the first two back in your notes. And then we did division by factoring. That is the best way to do it. If you can factor, right, and the trinomial is not prime, that is the best way to do the division. We would use long division and synthetic division when you are not able to factor the trinomial. Okay, so if the trinomial is prime, right, it normally means that there's going to be a remainder and it's not factorable. All right. So again, realize that these methods that we're doing today are the methods you would use when you cannot factor. All right. So let's get into it. Remember what we said in the first video. If you need to go back and look at it, it's not going anywhere. All right, it's still up on my YouTube page. We're looking at the first term. All right, 2x. All right, 2x, the first term on the outside. So 2x is our first term. All right, and we are going to go ahead and divide 2x. All right here. Divide that by 12x squared. Okay, 2x divided by 12x squared. That ends up giving us 6x. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put 6x above, all right, 6x above, and we're going to go back and multiply now 6x times 2x minus 3, all right, so this 6x is being multiplied to both terms on the outside, all right, so again, 2x goes into 12x squared, right, 6 times with the x left over when we divide, all right? And then we go ahead and multiply that back to the terms here. So let's go ahead and do that. 6x times 2x gives us 12x, and we're going to subtract this. So minus on the outside, minus 12x. Okay? And then 6x times negative 3 gives us negative 18x. All right, so now what we do is we go through and do the subtraction. So 12x squared minus, this is 12x squared as well, because 6x times 2x is 12x squared. It's my fault, just missed that. All right, so 12x squared minus 12x squared gives us 0. All right, so these are canceled out there. And then negative 20x minus negative 18x, which is the same as saying negative 20x plus positive 18x if we do keep change, right? And we can show that here if we want, plus, right? Keep change. So that ends up giving us negative 2x. And we're just going to bring down the 3, so plus 3, okay? Plus 3. So now, how many times does 2x go into negative 2x, right? If we divide that, all right, we end up getting negative 1. All right, I'll use my orange. And now we're going to multiply that negative 1 again by the binomial on the outside. All right, so negative 1 times 2x gives us negative 2x, and we're subtracting here. Okay, so minus negative 2x. This minus sign is always going to be there on the outside. You're always going to use parentheses, because just think about it like if you were doing regular division, you would subtract, right? You continue to subtract to get rid of things, okay, as you move along in the long division. It's the same thing here, right? Except that we're using, again, it's a little bit of a different strategy because we're using a binomial here. So minus negative 2x and negative 1 times negative 3 gives us plus 3. And what you'll notice is that there's no remainder here, right? Because this is negative 2x plus 3 minus negative 2x plus 3, right? Minus the same thing, right? So we end up getting 0. So there's no remainder. So what does that mean? Honestly, it means that we could have factored this, right? We could have made this easier on ourselves by factoring this. However, it's okay, right? There's no remainder left over, so our final answer is going to be 6x minus 1, right? If there was a remainder, remember what we would do? We'd put the remainder over top of the binomial 2x minus 3. But 6x minus 1 is our final answer. That looks like a G, but it's a 6x minus 1. All right. Now it looks like a field hockey stick. All right. We're doing our best here. Next, we're going to use synthetic division. All right, we're going to use synthetic division. So what goes on the outside of synthetic division? I'm going to set up this little house here. I don't know why I called it a house. It doesn't look anything like a house. But I'm going to set this thing up. All right. How do we figure out what goes outside here? Right? How do we figure that out? Well, again, what would make this binomial equal to 0? All right, a positive 2 would make that binomial equal to 0. So we're going to go ahead and put the 2 on the outside. Okay. Now, from there, we are going to put the coefficients of the terms of each term inside of the trinomial. We're going to put the coefficients without the variables. So we have 3 terms there, right? Now, first of all, you got to make sure that you're not missing any. Right? We have n squared, n, and then a constant, right? If we had n to the third here, right, we would need to fill that in, n to the second in with a 0, right? And we went through that with our missing exponents, right? So we're going to do that for the next problem, in fact, okay? So here we go. The first coefficient, n squared, right? The first coefficient is 1. It's 1n squared. The next coefficient is negative 9. All right, and the last coefficient is 17, which is the constant. All right, and remember, the first thing that we always do is go ahead and bring down the 1. All right, so that 1's going to be here. And then we multiply, right? 2 times 1 gives us 2. Oh. Come on now. There we go. All right, negative 9 plus 2 gives us a negative 7. Going to multiply again. We end up getting minus 14, right? And we're just doing, this is a positive 2, so we just add there. This is a minus 14 and negative 14, so we're going to subtract. 17 minus 14 gives us 3, right? And that is our remainder, okay? That is our remainder. So what we are left with, okay, if this is n squared, right, this is going to be n, so we're left with n minus 7 plus 3 over n minus 2, because that that remainder goes over top of our binomial up at the top, over n minus 2, and that is our final answer. Again, I'm kind of going through this a little bit quickly so we can get the review done. If you are having issues with this, I'm not going to lie, I had to go back and watch my videos to remember how to do these because it's been 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks or so since we've done this. So, again, go back through those videos. I worked hard on those videos to make those as understandable as possible for you guys. Just kind of going through the review with you so you can check your answers. But if you really need to go back through and understand this, go back through the original 2 videos that I posted, the one on long division and the one on synthetic division. That's what I did today. All right. Okay. So for this one, I'm gonna end up doing synthetic division. I said I was gonna do long division. I'm gonna do synthetic division. It's what I think is more effective here. All right. So what goes on the outside? All right, what would make this equal to 0? What would make it equal to 0 is a positive 7. So 7's going on the outside. Making our little thing here. All right, now, look, here's what I'm talking about. We have y to the 4th. We have y to the 3rd. Where's y to the 2nd? We don't have y to the 2nd. It means we need to make y to the 2nd. Y to the 2nd must be there, okay? So remember what we did. We put a 0 as a place marker for y to the second, right? Because think about it, 0 times y to the second would be 0. That's why it wouldn't show up. So we need to put a 0 as a place marker, okay? So our first coefficient for y to the fourth is 1. All right, it means our answer is going to start with y to the third. All right, minus 7, negative 7 is our next. Now, again, y to the second isn't there, so we need to put a 0 there. It needs to be a place marker. All right, then we have y to the first, minus 2, and then 18 as the final, positive 18 there. All right, what's the first thing we do? Bring down the 1. 7 times 1, bring down the 1, yeah. 7 times 1 is 7, okay. What do we end up getting? We end up getting 0, right? Okay. 7 times 0 gives us 0. Sheesh. 0 minus 0, 0 plus 0, 0, and whatever, right? Ends up being 0. Okay. 7 times 0 gives us 0. This is an interesting one. I like this. All right. Bringing down the negative 2 here. Negative 2 plus 0. Negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2. All right, 7 times negative 2 will end up giving us a negative 14. All right. And this is going to be our remainder. The last is always our remainder. All right. So our remainder is a 4. All right. Now, I want you to think about this. All right, I'm going to write this out. I didn't do this for the last video, but I think this will be a little bit more understandable. All right. We started with y to the fourth here. All right. Up at the top, if you see that, y to the fourth. All right. So the first one is going to start. All right. We always start one exponent fewer. All right. So this is going to be our y to the third. This is going to be our y to the second. This is going to be our y. This is our constant, which I'll just put a C there, and then this is our remainder, right, that's supposed to be an R, right, whatever that thing is that I just wrote. All right, that looks more like an R, but still not good. All right, so let's go ahead and write this answer out. All right, 1 y to the third, all right, so we get just y to the third, right there, as you can see. Now, 0 times y squared is 0, nothing there. 0 times y, nothing there. Now, we have our constant, minus 2 is next. Right, you can see that there's no y with that whatsoever, and then we have our remainder, which is 4, so it's plus y, 4 over, and remember that always goes over the original binomial, y minus 7, and that is our final answer. Not too bad. Again, having issues with that, go back through to the old notes, please. All right, you can go back and pause that if you want. You can do it again if you need more time. All right. You can always pause these videos. That's one of the beautiful things about it. All right, next we're going to go into operations and compositions of functions. All right, we only have a few more left to go. All right, so we have f minus g, so f of x minus g of x. All right, so what is f of x? F of x is, I'm going to write this out, x squared plus, and I am putting it in parentheses here, minus 12, and it's minus g of x, which is right here, right, 5x squared minus 2, so 5x squared minus 2. All right, if you would like to distribute this, you can distribute that if you'd like, okay, or you can look at it as x squared minus 5x squared, right? Let's go ahead and do it that way, all right? Looking for our like terms here, we have x squared minus 5x squared. All right, what is x squared minus 5x squared? It gives us negative 4x squared. I'm going to do these in different colors so you can see. All right, do we have any like terms with 4x? No. All right, so 4x minus 0 is just going to give us 4x. If there's no like terms, it just stays there. All right, so plus 4x. And then finally we have negative 12 minus, again, negative 2. Negative 12 minus negative 2, or negative 12 plus 2, if you do keep change, which ends up giving us a negative 10. And that's our final answer here, fellas. All right. 39, h of x times g of x. All right, h of x times g of x. So here we go. H of x is x plus 7. So we are putting that in parentheses. Times g of x. What's g of x? It is 5x squared minus 2. FOIL, and we are done after we, as long as we don't have any like terms. So here we go. FOIL it. First, let me do a different color here. Just make it a little bit more. X times 5x squared gives us 5x cubed. Outer, x times negative 2 gives us negative 2x. Inner, 7 times 5x squared is plus 35x squared. All right. And then finally, 7 times negative 2 gives us negative 14. Let me go ahead and shut this window. Some rowdy folks outside. Okay, and we are almost done. Only thing we have to do is just put this in order. All right, so standard form. So 5x cubed plus 35x squared minus 2x minus 14. We have no like terms, so that is it. That's all we got. All right. Okay, we're almost there. This video will be done in the next 10 minutes, so let's get it done. All right, next one. We have h over f of x, h of x over f of x. So h of x divided by f of x. All right, what is h of x? It's x plus 7, so we're going to go ahead and put x plus 7 at the top. Over f of x, which is x squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay. Now, we're not done yet, all right? It looks like we might be done, right? If you go back and look up at the our previous ones here, right? You know, the denominator is our binomial, but in this case, our denominators are trinomial, all right? So you're not going to be able to do this using the methods that we just previously did. However, as I just stated, the first thing you should always try when you're dividing is to see if you can factor, right? And can we factor here? All right, what are two factors of negative 12, right, that add up to give us 4, right? Well, that would end up being, 6 and negative 2, right? 6 and negative 2. So 6 times negative 2 gives us negative 12. When we add those up, we end up getting a positive 4, right? So this will end up being x plus 7 over x plus 6 x minus 2. Now we were hoping to find, x plus 7 so we could cancel them out, but we don't have that. They can't be canceled out. But what we can do is figure out what our restrictions in the domain are here. All right. So again, if x was negative 6 right here, right, I'm going to write this down. The domain, right? The domain is not all real numbers. The domain for this one is all real numbers. There's no denominator. I apologize, I was rushing through. I didn't see that in the directions. Domain here is all real numbers. Okay. Now, but for this one, we have a denominator. All right. So that's when we have our restrictions, is when we have a denominator. Okay. 0 cannot be in our denominator. So if x was negative 6 right here, okay, if x was negative 6, negative 6 plus 6 would give us 0, and we would end up having 0 in the denominator, which would be a problem. So our restrictions, domain, right? D stands for domain. X cannot equal negative 6, and it also can equal, if you notice here, it can equal positive 2, because that would also give us a 0. So those are our restrictions right there. X cannot equal negative 6 and 2. Finally, g of h of x, all right? So what is g of x? G of x is 5x squared minus 2, right, of h of x. So we're going to plug in h of x wherever we see x in g of x. So this is going to end up being 5, parentheses, x plus 7 squared minus 2. x plus 7 times x plus 7. No, we cannot do this, right? This is not a monomial, so we can't use our power rules there, all right? We have to do x plus 7 times x plus 7. We have to FOIL it, all right? So once you're done foiling it, you will end up getting 5 times x squared plus 14x plus 49. Minus 2. All right? And then when we distribute, we have to distribute the 5 and add like terms. Our final answer will end up giving us 5x squared plus 70x. Now, 49 times 5, right, that's going to end up giving us 245 minus 2 is going to end up being 243, so plus 243. You see that minus 2 at the end that we have to tack on. I'm just kind of skipping a step here to get our answer, and our domain is going to be all real numbers because there is no, what? Denominator. There is no denominator, so we know it's going to be all real numbers. Okay? All right. So here we go. G of negative 4 plus h of negative 4 here. All right, so we're plugging in negative 4 for g of x, plugging in negative 4 for h of x, and then we're just going to add those two numbers together. All right, so I'm going to write this one here. G of negative 4 equals, all right, when we plug that in, 5 times negative 4 squared. Again, I'm just plugging in negative 4 wherever I see x in g of x. Right, our function g of x up at the top. 4 squared minus 2. Negative 4 squared gives us 16. Right? 16 times 5 gives us 80. 80 minus 2 will end up giving us 78. So g of negative 4 equals 78. Okay? And I'm just going to underline that. We need to remember that. Now I'm going to do h of negative 4. Almost done here. H of negative 4. H is x plus 7. H of x is x plus 7. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in. And we end up getting negative 4 plus 7, right, which ends up equaling 3. I'm going to underline that. We need that now. So now it's g of negative 4 plus h of negative 4. So 78 plus 3 is going to give us our final answer. 78 plus 3 equals, and where did I get that plus sign from? I got it right there, right? If you see up at the top. All right. Got it right there. 78 plus 3 gives us 81. And that right there, folks, is our final answer. Last one here. H of f of negative 2. All right. So here we go. We need to figure out what f of 2 is. All right, f of 2. I'll do that right here. F of 2. Oh, boy. All right, so f of 2 ends up equaling, parentheses, 2 squared, or just 2 squared, plus 4 times 2 minus 12. I'm just plugging in 2 for x. Dear Lord. It's a minus sign. Minus 12. All right, what do I end up getting? I end up getting 0 because 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 4 times 2 is 8, right? So we get 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0, so we end up getting 0 here. All right. And then finally, h of 0. So we figured out what f was, right? Or excuse me, h. We figured out what f of 2 was, right? And remember, if you look back at our old notes, right, we need to figure out the innermost first when we have h of f, right? So we had to figure out what f of 2 was. All right, now we plug that 0 in for h, and we have our final answer. So h of 0, what is h? It's x plus 7, so we're doing 0 plus 7. So our final answer is just going to be 7. All right, and that is it, and that's all she wrote. Again, hopefully this helped you out. If you guys need to go back through and look at the old notes from before break, I suggest you do that. I had to do that today myself, not going to lie, right? And it was very helpful. So go ahead, get those things done. I'm going to post the quiz. All right, I want that to be done as soon as possible. I still have not received all the quizzes from the last quiz from everybody. Some students do have an excuse, but if you do not, if I have not had any contact from you, you have not turned that quiz in, I want you to know that you are holding up the classmates that want to get their quizzes back. All right, I have those graded, but I cannot give those quizzes back until everyone's taken it, because then I'd be giving out the answer key. All right, so if you have not gotten that quiz done, needs to be done now. All right, get that done right away. All right. If you guys have questions, please get in contact with me. I am going to do a Zoom meeting before we take the test. All right, we will do a Zoom meeting for those who want to be a part of it. All right. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, bryan@archbishopcurley.org. Take it easy, guys. Hope everyone's safe and sound.